What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio. This is the Draftkings picks and prediction show. This week, we are breaking down UFC Austin. We got Arman Tsarukyan going against Beneil Dariush. And as always, I am here with myself, Weezy. We got Monk and Gordo. We'll kick it to you first, Weezy. What is up? Are you looking forward to UFC Austin?
Fired up, baby. I can't tell you how fired up I am. Where is Monk, dude? Where the hell is Monk?
There he is.
Yeah, I'm fired up for this card, man. DraftKings is kind of interesting. I don't really like the plus 9,000 range this week for some reason. I think all the underdogs are live. It's a strange week, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. I've got a lineup in, but we'll see what happens.
Let's go. We got Gordo. Gordo, what is up? Are you looking forward to UFC Austin?
I sure am, man. You know, those weeks off make you feel like you want to see these fights even more. They're going to be even better for that regard. So I'm happy to chop it up with you guys. 3 events left for the rest of the year, and looking forward to it. Hoping to end the year with the bang, and it should be a fun card here for sure.
And last but not least, we got the man himself, Monk. Are you looking forward to UFC Austin?
That was strange. It must be a full moon this evening. I am looking forward to UFC Austin. There's a bunch of good fights, week off. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. But I am going to UFC Austin, so I will be there. I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Making the drive down. So if anybody out there is going down, hit me up on Twitter. And I'm excited to see these fights live, guys, for sure.
Hey, and if you guys are looking to see what Monk looks like, he looks just like he does right now. That's how you'll find him in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure I'll be the only bald, bearded guy in Austin, Texas. I'm sure that's how it'll go. I won't have any shit kickers on, though, so that's how you can tell.
There you go. All right. Doing a shout out the chat.
Who messaged Daniel Covert to tell him to say that?
We're being serious. No one can see you.
I don't believe you.
We went back and forth backstage for about maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes. Monk thinks, I don't know, Monk, what do you think? Actually, I'm confused myself.
You're like Nathan Fielder of this, I swear to God. Because at first he says he can't see me. I'm going through every setting possible. I can see myself. StreamYard can see me. And then I've got these 3 fucking degenerates laughing the whole time. So obviously they can. Now Daniel Covert's in on it. Jesus Christ. It's getting ridiculous. And then Brady hits me with the, what do you think about it? Stop it. Stop it right now.
Preston says the invisible man. Everybody's in on it, Monk.
I guess. Well, this one,
like I said, that's why I said this is what you look like, man.
I'm either pretending it doesn't happen, or I'm pretending it's not happening, or I just don't give a shit. So there we go. You can either hear my voice, or you can see me, or both. I'm not sure. Well, I don't know.
I guess we'll never know.
I don't understand what's happening then.
We'll never know. But I do want to shout.
StreamYard's fucking us.
I do want to shout out the chat before we get started. We got Daniel Covert, first one in here. We got Elijah1 in the building. We got Kid Kick. We got Preston in the building. What is up, everybody? Before you get started, if you guys could please do us a favor, leave a like on the video, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. We go live every Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Also want to shout out the Pub Sports Radio picks prediction contest that happens weekly. Saturdays, go to pubsportsradio.com. It's free to enter, and it's $100 to the first place person there. But sorry, where'd Monk go? Oh God, there he is.
Stop it. Bullshit.
Yes!
Shit. No way, dude. So now either you've been lying this whole time, or you still can't see me and you're trolling me on a 4th level. Either way, none of you in the chat, I don't believe any of this. Am I in the Truman Show? What is going on right now?
No, you're wearing a black shirt. Like, we can actually see you now.
I've been wearing a black shirt this whole time.
But we couldn't see the black shirt because, dude,
you're gonna have to go back and rewatch it. Okay.
You have to just see for yourself, I suppose.
Well, I don't know. I seriously just hit stop cam and start like I did 40 times before this. So
wow.
Either you guys are masters, or StreamYard is a master, or I'm having a fever dream.
I don't know what's going on, but what I do know is we have some fights coming up. We got UFC Austin, 13 fights. I can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts on it. Let's start with the fight to target, as always, and I'll kick us off. I'm really looking forward to this fight. Give me Reese versus Cody Brundage. The fight doesn't go to decision, is minus 550 for a very good reason. The under 1.5 rounds is minus 200. Yeah, I think somebody's getting served here. I think somebody's getting served here, probably even in the first round. Zachary Reese has not seen a second round yet in his MMA professional career. And Cody Brundage is one of these guys who is just very hit or miss, very boom or bust. Great hammer, terrible nail type fighters. And I feel like Brundage, if he does win this fight, he's probably going to go out there and get a first round finish. But if he does lose this fight, I kind of see him getting finished in the first round as well. So I think somebody's getting served here. I think somebody's getting served early. I think the winner puts up a very nice score in this one. Uncle Weezy, what is your fight to target for UFC Austin?
I mean, I'll just give you guys the main event. Why not, right? Both of these guys are DraftKings studs. You got Tsarukyan averaging 4.08 DraftKings points per minute. Dariush averaging 3.5 DraftKings points per minute. This is the only 5-round fight on the card. So whether it's a cash or a GPP lineup, it'd be a mistake to leave these guys out of your lineup. You want one of these two in those lineups because both of them high-scoring guys, very high likelihood that this fight doesn't go to decision. And if it does, you get the full 25 minutes instead of just 15. So it's a pretty easy fight to target here. And a lot of grappling upside as well.
Yeah, I think the main event's a good one to target myself. I am very exposed to that one. Monk, what fight are you targeting the heaviest this weekend?
I love those. It would be Font and Figgy, but that's 3 rounds, and I just can't tell if it's going to do well enough score-wise. Those guys, when they've fought, or them or their opponents, when they fought, have 100% optimal rate. So in win. So that one is interesting. I understand the 5-round is in play there generally, but not this week. I will go with Jalin Turner, Bobby Green, because why not? I assume, it's going to be either Bobby Green early or Jalin Turner is going to wear him down with the length there, with the height, and probably find Bobby Green's chin. So lot of finishes in their fights. I believe they have 13 fights total since 2021. 62% of those fights have finished. 39% have finished in the very first round, and a very high optimal rate as well. So yeah, I love this fight in general. Love the replacement. It sucks that I don't get to see Dan Hooker, but I am stoked for Bobby Green live. So yeah, Turner and Green. Plus the last thing, we do have the unnatural salary optimal to play with here at 8,900 and 7,600. Yes, we're on the more expensive side of the optimal range this week, but it still has a pretty good percentage. And I like really both sides for GPP tournaments. So that's why I chose the co-main event this week.
Yeah, I like that. I think the biggest thing is kind of the Turner coming in here on short notice, trying to make 155. I was watching his interview today. Didn't sound too confident in terms of making weight. So we'll see if he shows up and makes 155. That would be incredible if he does on this short notice. I was shocked it's not a catch weight, but what to see on Friday. Gordo, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
We also got to hope that we don't have Bobby Green be assaulted by any more members of people fighting this week. So gotta be careful of that. But I do like all 3 of those fights. Let's go to my 4th one on the list here, which is the most expensive fight on the slate. We do have Rodolfo Bellato versus Ihor Potieria, 2 guys who I think are relatively low level. And a lot of these times, these low level fights lead to a very, very good score. I have always thought that Ihor Potieria is a bit of a fraud. And in this case here, he is going to have the opportunity to cash in on his one path to victory, which is a round 1 knockout. I do think that is a lot of time how he wins these fights. And facing a guy in Bellato who is better than him everywhere offensively, but leaves his chin up really high, you're allowing for someone at a completely low salary of 6.6K to have the opportunity to catch the chin and potentially score well in doing so. The win condition for Potieria scores really, really well. Flip side of things, though, I am on the Bellato side. I do think he has him covered everywhere this fight goes, whether it be on the ground, whether it be the pressure striking against the cage, whether it be the cardio. And I do think that either way, the winner of this one is going to score very, very well. It is a bit expensive, so the other fights I do like a bit better, but this is one I'm going to be targeting for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. We got Bellato making his debut. We got Potieria, who is, I believe, Uncle Weezy's favorite fighter, right, Weezy, up there?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of frauds, man. I like him. I like Mozarov. I like that
Bogdan
Salvador guy. Yeah, Bondar. I'm a huge fan of frauds, man.
Especially frauds that have cool celebrations, dude. He's got a real life Fortnite celebration. Ihor Potieria, the duelist. And then I didn't shoot him with the gun. Instead, I shut up, dude. Shut up.
Gosh, I mean, that was one of the worst celebrations I've seen a lot of celebrations. That one's probably the worst I've seen personally, but
Yeah.
he likes it, but I don't think many people do. All right. We'll move.
We won't have to see it.
Maybe I'll do it before the fight would make more sense. I don't know. We'll move on to our fight to fade here. A couple of spots sticking out to fade. We'll start with you, Gordo. What fight are you fading for this week?
I think the popular one to fade this week is going to be Julia Avila versus Miesha Tate, one of these women's fights that there's just a lot of unknowns about, and one that is projected to go the distance. Now, we do have fighters who have had layoffs in the past. There are some questions to be answered, but at the end of the day, we do have a fight that is projected to go the distance amongst a action-packed card, and I do think it's going to be very hard to get to someone like Julia Avila 8.7, considering she's facing someone as tough and durable as Tate. Whereas the flip side of things, although Tate may be a bit more alive than Line and Tails, she's looked slower recently. There are some question marks on her own side. Both of these fighters are people who I'd rather have the fighters around them. I'd rather have a Bobby Green at 7.6, rather have a Deiveson Figueiredo, and for that reason, I'm staying away from this one.
Yeah, it was funny. I was watching shout out to Uncle Weezy's Just the Tip last night, and it was the funniest thing ever. I almost died. Weezy almost killed me last night because he was talking about doing like a commercial with like "In the Arms of the Angel," like 1-800-GAMBLER commercial.
Bad dog eyes.
Yes, I almost died laughing. And then I recorded a video of myself with that song in the background, and I did like a 100. I'm not gonna post it. It's I think it's too much for, and plus that you get demonetized. But it's for myself to watch it. It was
Not
very
if
funny.
you sang it. If you dubbed over singing,
No, it
then
was
you wouldn't get demonetized.
true. But it was a song in the background. I was like, if you are betting on this fight, and then blah blah blah. It was pretty good. Maybe I'll show you guys after the show.
The song.
But it was in the eye. I mean, it was the funniest thing ever. So shout out to
You
Weezy.
got to show a shivering dog outside that's all scared.
It's like cold and rainy, but there's like flies around him.
Oh,
if I bet on that fight, I expect to see that video in my DMs.
I got you. It was funny. I enjoyed that. All right. Oh my gosh. For me, I'm going to fade the Jamie Lynn Horth Veronica Hardy fight. It is plus 195 for the fight to not go the distance, which I believe is the widest on the slate. I do like Jamie Lynn Horth to win this matchup. I don't know if she has a ton of upside. Maybe she could potentially get like a late finish. I think that could be in play there. But yeah, a lot of money's came in on Jamie Lynn Horth as of late. I remember me and Weezy were talking, I think like Sunday, and I was like, I really like Jamie Lynn Horth at a pick'em. And then you refresh the line today, and she's like minus 190. So a lot of money's coming on Horth. I'm not sure how popular she's going to be on DraftKings, but I just think there are better options. I think there are better options where we're going to get fighters with wrestling upside, early finish upside. I think it's going to be a high scoring slate, and it's a fight, especially on the first fight of the night. I don't really want a ton to do with. So I'm fading that fight. Gordo, you are fading the Avila fight. Weezy, what fight are you fading this week?
Yeah, the Tate Avila fight. I mean, it's a great fight to avoid in general. It's Brady and I's official 1-800-GAMBLER fight of the week. And both ladies are on massive layoffs, so outcome is very unpredictable. Neither lady scores or allows more than 3 DraftKings points per minute on the aggregate. It's the fight least likely to finish inside the distance, so it's a very easy fight to fade. But you also have to throw in that caveat that if you're multi-entering tournaments, right, this one could end up optimal just because whoever wins is probably going to be extremely low owned. And if the right combination of fighters win and score the right, places, this one could wind up optimal. But like on a cash lineup, I think you'd be crazy to have either one of these ladies in there.
Yeah, believe it or not, I actually have some Tate, not in cash, so not in cash, but in tournaments, I do have a decent amount of Tate.
You should have both of them, at least a little bit, just on variance.
Yeah, just because the fight's so bad. It's so bad that maybe it scores well. You've seen that before.
Right.
But cash, yeah, you can't get there. Monk, how about you? What fight are you fading?
Yeah, I thought I was looking into old Biff's sports almanac when I saw those two were fighting in 2023. I was just like, what the hell is going on? I agree with that completely. Nobody scores in there. Nobody makes optimal lineups, but I will give you a different one here. Drakkar, Klose, Joe Selecki. As far as scoring, these guys are way up and down, especially Selecki. Klose, his average is completely thrown off because he fought the human highlight, I think it's just the highlight reel, Brandon Jenkins, whose record is 16-11, not to be confused with Leroy Jenkins. Shout out to Lou Betya. but he scored 134 points, Drakkar Klose, in that fight. Every other win in his last 5, it's 78 against Garcia, 98 decent against Giagos, and then 57 against Bobby Green, obviously also on this card. Joe Selecki, his only good scores in his last 5 are against Austin Hubbard, who lost the last Ultimate Fighter, and Carl Deaton III, who just got cut recently as far as UFC bot is concerned. Beat Alex De Silva, scored only 68, and then beat Jim Miller, scored only 74. So long story short, I think this fight goes to decision. I don't know who's going to win, but I don't think either one's probably going to finish or score well enough to make the optimal lineup. So give me the big fade on this middling DFS matchup between Drakkar Klose and Joe Selecki.
Elijah one asking what I'm drinking. I am drinking the blood of our DraftKings enemies.
Oh my goodness. Mixed with
Let's
some
go.
pomegranate.
I'm drinking water. Dude, you're totally one-upping me.
Yeah, that's what you gotta drink the blood of your DraftKings enemies out here. Moonshine, gosh, I don't know about that.
Dear God, no thanks.
Oof.
No.
Put some hair on your chest.
All right. So we'll move on now to the fighter to fade. And I'll kick this one off, kind of to piggyback off of what you guys said. It's Julia Avila, 8,700. The big layoff, the pregnancy. I feel like this fight, nobody really should be favored. I mean, Julia Avila, you look at her wins in the UFC, Julia Stoliarenko. There was another terrible win as well. I forget. It's so bad I forget it, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, she's coming in here off a big layoff. Miesha Tate hasn't looked too good. I feel like this fight should just be lined a lot closer. I just really struggle to get to 8,700 for Julia Avila. I'll be fading her in pretty much everything. Gordo, what fighter are you fading this week?
Yeah, it would be Avila, but I've already talked about that one. So let's go with Wellington Turman at 9K. Again, this is a fight that I do think could have some potential upside, but if we look at the history for someone like Turman, he has never scored above 81 DraftKings points. He's not a good historical scorer. He's facing a guy in the night train who is going to be a pretty decent striker. So unless we get a new and reformed version of Turman who will go out there and proactively be able to land takedowns, because he has not landed more than 2 takedowns since 2019, I do think Turman's ceiling is relatively capped here. I'm not saying he doesn't win, but if he's not going to go out there and dominantly grapple or get a finish, it's going to be hard to compete with the Tsarukyan's, the Reeses, the Sorianos, the Bellatos. Make it hard for me to get to him at 9K.
Hold up. What happened to Julia Avila over the last 2 years? Why does she look?
I think she had a baby. Is that right?
Yeah.
She looks like she aged like 10
Gray hair. She got the
years.
little Bride of Frankenstein going on.
The
Yeah,
Reggie,
dude,
bro.
Hey, bro, I can relate to that. You know what I'm saying?
She had her knee reconstructed. She recently had a baby. Dude, that's how you're going to look in like 2 years, Brady.
Yeah, wait for
Yeah,
that.
I agree. Especially if I keep betting overs.
I was gonna say you keep betting on the orange for the gambler fights. That's what you're gonna look like.
Yeah, if I bet Miesha Tate, I'd look like that Sunday morning for sure. Gosh, but so that's interesting. I forget where we're at.
Me.
Oh, Monk, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you. I love those picks. Had them. I think all of them down. I like Jamie Lynn Horth for my fighter to fade. I'm not trusting this at all. 8,500 favorite salary. Yeah, it's a lower to mid range salary, but I still don't trust it. She fought Haley Cowan at catchweight, scored 67 points in a 3-round decision there at 8,300. Yeah, Veronica Hardy. Obviously, her resume is not great. She's, if you don't count the last fight, she's 1-4. 1-3 with her only win being Polyana Viana since the Andrea Lee fight. She did lose to Jillian Robertson, Andrea Lee. Those are acceptable losses. The unacceptable loss is the Bea Malecki loss, which was her last fight before her extended break. But as you all know, she came back and looked fantastic against a pretty low-level fighter in Juliana Miller. So I will give it. This is a very low-level women's fight, but at the same time, there's no way in hell I'm trusting Jamie Lynn Horth at -200 against someone who's been in the UFC cage for a lot of minutes and clocked a win in her comeback, and she looked very good. So hopefully, she's still super young. Yeah, she's people might assume, like I did wrongly, that she's with Dan Hardy. She's in her 30s. This girl just turned like 28 at the end of October, so she's still learning. She's still improving, in my opinion. And I think she could come out here and disappoint a lot of people. So I'm going to go with Jamie Lynn Horth as my fighter to fade this week.
And I think Weezy, right? Weezy, which fighter are you fading this week?
Yeah, I'm going to fade Veronica Hardy, actually, go the other side of that
Nice.
fight.
So just fade this fight, everybody.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just don't see a lot of upside at this price, because this pricing was made when Hardy was like a plus 120 dog. Now she's plus 170. So not only is there not a lot of salary value there, but there's really almost no finish upside for Hardy, and she's going to be at a massive size disadvantage. I mean, Horth is huge. And the reason Horth didn't score well in her debut was she fought just a gigantic Haley Cowan who missed weight, and Haley's just really big, really strong, really athletic. She could just put you up against that cage and hold you there. This fight's going to be a different story. If anyone's holding somebody up against the cage, it's going to be Horth holding up Hardy against the cage. So I think she could score better than she did in her debut. Horth can. And I don't see a lot of upside for Hardy. I think all these underdogs this week have got a really high ceiling. Hardy just isn't one of them. So I'm staying away from her.
All right. Sounds like, we should just stay away from that fight. I know I am personally. All right. We'll move on to our favorite dog. Weezy, you just said it. A lot of dogs sticking out. I kind of have a feeling which one you're going with. But Weezy, who's your favorite dog of the week?
I'm going with Beneil Dariush this week. It's the main event. He could potentially have 5 rounds in this fight, and I see massive value in him at this number. Beneil scores 3.5 DraftKings points per minute. So just at that score, if this goes the full 5 rounds, you're looking at something like 3.5 times 25 would be 87.5 points. That's what he would average in a loss. So even though he's older, chinnier, less conditioned, and less explosive than Tsarukyan, in my opinion, I still think he's the better striker and grappler. So that makes him live in this spot, especially in a 5-round fight, to score a pile of points at a very discounted salary of $7,000 this week.
Yep, I like it. I have my fair share of Dariush myself. Monk, who's your favorite dog this week?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. A lot of them GPP dogs. I don't know about how many cash dogs I really like. So I'm going to have to pick between 2, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but once again, for the second time, shout out Lou Betya. Cody Brundage, I think, is a good underdog this week. Maybe I'm saying his name too early. Maybe he should be in dart throw, so keep that in mind. But he's fighting a guy named Zach Reese, who I believe has 6 fights. Is that correct? 6 fights, maybe something like that. His strength of schedule is one of the lowest I've ever seen on his last 5 at just 51 out of 100. You want that to be at like 70 to be acceptable, and it is far under that parameter. I think 2 fights ago he fought someone. Maybe if you'll just give me just a second. One of the guys he fought, 4 fights ago he fought someone that was 0-1. 4 fights ago, 0-1. Actually, they were 0-0 when they fought. The guy before that was 0-3, 8-4, 4-12. He fought a guy that was 4-12, or I guess 4-11, something like that, 2 fights ago. We'll just say I don't trust Zach Reese. I just said I don't trust JB Lynn Horth. I trust her way, way more than I trust Zach Reese at 9,300. So, Cody Brundage obviously has a game plan for about 60, 70 seconds. So we'll see if he can make that happen. And if he does, obviously at that price, he is going to be on the optimal lineup. So I know not a lot of fans of him these days. He did just have to fight a dirty, dirty cheater in Jacob Malkoun. And honestly, he did take a ton of shots to the back of the head. There's no denying that. But we'll see how he comes out after his performance in more than one way in his last fight. And give me him as one of my favorite underdogs. Should be an exciting 60, 70 seconds at least,
Yeah, it definitely should be. I'll be talking about Brundage later on during the show. For me, I'm going to go with Deiveson Figueiredo. He's 7,400, which I think there's a lot of value there because on the money line, he's only plus 120 underdog, like one of the shortest underdogs on the card, getting him at a $7,400 price. Of course, there are big question marks. What is Figgy going to look at this point of his career coming up a weight class to Bantamweight at 35 years old, but he is going to be the younger fighter here. And it's one of those fights where you have the minute winner in Rob Font and the moment winner of Deiveson Figueiredo. You got Rob Font that's going to be doing, all the volume, but Figgy's going to have the power And we've seen Font lose a lot of those fights lately, out voluming guys like Jose Aldo and Marlon Vera, but getting rocked, wobbled, doing the stanky leg, getting dropped and losing fights that way. And then in theory, Figgy should go out there and grapple. It's not something he does a ton, but he is training at fight ready. If he comes out here with a good game plan, I think wrestling could be there. I don't think Font has great takedown defense nor a get-up game. So yeah, I see a lot of avenues for Figgy, and he's super cheap here, and the line is closing in. So I like Figgy, 7,400. Go and have a solid amount of him. And Gordo, who's your favorite dog this week?
Yep, I like Figgy as well, but you taking him allows me to talk about someone who does not have a youth advantage here, and that is Clay Guida at 7.1K. Again, a lot of risk, a lot of reward. He could go out there and get bonked by the power of Neto BJJ, but truth be told, we have a guy at 7.1K whose path to victory is going to require a ton of grappling, a ton of upside, and although he is someone who is getting to the tail end of his career, we know that he has that upside in him here. We know that at 7.1K, it doesn't take much aside from him going out there and trying to take out someone in Neto BJJ who has been finishing his losses, who has dropped rounds. And aside from him having a ton of power in his hands, is susceptible to the takedown, is susceptible to being controlled down there. I do think at 7.1K, although he is a lot riskier than someone like Deiveson Figueiredo, like I wanted to talk about, he is still someone with a lot of upside. At 7.1K, I'm willing to take the shot.
Yeah, and there's a lot more dogs we haven't talked about. I think there's a lot of live dogs on this card. I think you can make a case for pretty much every single one. Like even, I know Pateri is terrible, but he can win by knockout potentially. So, lots of live underdogs on this card. All right, what we're going to go now to is our prize pick section. Spencer, I see your question in the comments. We'll get to it towards the end there when we get to all the comments. But right now we're going to give our 4 best prize picks plays. And we'll start with our Uncle Weezy. Weezy, what is your favorite play this week on Prize Picks?
Well, I did a 2-leg play. One of the legs was Mel Costa under 10 minutes of fight time. I got this play in a couple days ago. Now that's been switched to 7.5 minutes. So I'll give you the other leg of that 2-leg play, which is still there. And that's going to be Wellington Turman over 1.5 takedowns. Look, I wouldn't really want to be on the Turman over takedown side against a lot of opponents, but Gooden's takedown defense is awful. It's awful. Dude, he had 4 regional scene fights between the Carlston Harris fight and the last fight that he lost in the UFC. He's getting taken down and controlled by regional scene Midland fighters. The guy that he last fought before he got back to the UFC had literally 3 minutes of cardio. And this guy took him down and blanketed him for the entire first round and then could barely walk back to his corner. So not only is Gooden getting taken down in the UFC by good fighters, but he's getting taken down outside of the UFC, in NFC, in WFFC, or what's that, WMMA, that is one of the promotions that he's in, or XMMA, I'm sorry. Anyway, he gets taken down a lot, you guys. And I think that this fight does go the full 3 rounds. I do really like Wellington Turman to get over 1.5 takedowns.
Yeah, I'm taking another takedown prop as well. I'm going with the Sean Brady more than 1.5 takedowns. I think, people are being a little bit too harsh on Sean Brady, the Bilal Muhammad fight. Like Bilal, he has like elite takedown defense, like probably some of the best takedown defense in the division. 80 or 93% takedown defense for Bilal. Brady was not able to take him down, but he's not going against Bilal in this fight. He's going against Gastelum, who has a 62% takedown defense. And my feeling is the path to victory for Brady is not going to be to go out there and, stand at range with Kelvin Gastelum for 15 minutes. He is going to go for takedowns. I think he will go for takedowns, and he's hit this more than 1.5 in many fights. He got 5 fights against Chiesa, or 5 takedowns against Chiesa, 2 takedowns against Christian Aguilera in a fight that ended in the second round, 4 takedowns against Ismail Nardiev, and then 2 takedowns against Court McGee. So he's hit it plenty of times. I think he hits it here if he wants to win. I mean, if he goes out there and doesn't get takedowns, he loses this fight pretty clearly. So give me Sean Brady taking the more within 1.5 takedowns. Gordo, what do you like for Prize Picks?
Yeah, I'm taking someone who we haven't really talked about much yet. I think Weezy kind of brought him up for a second, but let's go with the over fantasy score for Melk Costa. It's sitting at 92 right now. It's one that, let me just confirm, because I know he said he had some line movement. Yeah, 92.5. To me, it's something that he has an opponent in front of him in Garcia, who is going to push a very, very heavy pace. He is someone who is a dog. He is someone who is scrappy. And although he pushes a heavy pace, can be hit, can be countered, can be dropped. And we saw that Costa has the ability to bait people in a range and land some powerful shots. You add in the fact that I do think he has takedown upside. I do think he is someone who is going to be sneakily able to go over this overline here. And I think with the pace that Garcia pushes here, I'm getting these two mixed up. I do think that Costa has the ability to go over this line, and I do think he wins this fight a lot of the time. I'm liking the over 92.5 fantasy score.
All right, and then last but not least, Monk, what are you liking for Prize Picks?
Yeah, I had the Brady over 1.5. Really like that one. I'm going to give you Joaquim Silva over 43.5 significant strikes. Now you might think that's crazy. He's only done that twice in his last 5 fights, one against Jesse Ronson. And isn't that weird how that dude's just knocking everyone out cold all of a sudden? Isn't that crazy? Jared Gordon, he scored he put up 95. Meanwhile, Clay Guida, in his last 5, he's been subbed twice. If you take those fights out, he went the distance with Rafa, don't call me Hafa Garcia. He allowed 141 strikes. He allowed 65 against Hots Holtzman, and he allowed 98 against the Danish Olympian, Mark Madsen. So I personally think this one's going to go long, and I think Silva will be able to clear that 43.5 significant strike number probably in the second round, if I had to guess, 8-9 minute mark. So give me Joaquim Silva over 43.5 strikes landed against the Carpenter Clay Guida.
All right, we got the significant strikes to the more for Silva. We got the Brady more on takedowns, Turman more on takedowns, and then Gordo had the Mel Costa more on fantasy score. We'll see if we can go 4 for 4 there. All right, we'll move on to our favorite GPP play. We'll start with you, Gordo. Who are you liking this week?
Yeah, GPP wise, it's kind of the fight as a whole, but Zach Reese, 9.3. Again, a lot of risk with someone who's coming and taking this spot here, but he has a guy in front of him, Brundage, who although I think as a decent offensive guy, is a guy with his defensive liabilities, who will jump guillotine, who does have cardio issues, who does have fight IQ issues. And Zach Reese, although a limited sample size against horrible level of competition, has finishing instinct, has had the ability to go out there and dispose of this competition accordingly, and have never been able to out of this first round. So if he is someone who is able to implement that here against a high level of competition, maybe the UFC is trying to set this guy up against someone in Brundage who hurt their stock a little bit last time. I do think at 9.3K, although a risky investment, is someone with a very, very high ceiling this week in a fight that is expected to end early.
Yep, I like it. I like it. For me, I'm going to go with somebody a little bit cheaper. Some of you talked about Gordo for Prize Picks. It's Mel Costa, 8,900. I just see this fight being a banger. I think these guys are going to stand and bang into one-man falls. Steve Garcia, this guy is just an absolute wild man. This guy is going to go out there. He's going to take one to give one. I think he has 5 knockdowns in the UFC and then 5 knockdowns against in the UFC. Kill or be killed type fighter. And I'm not sure if that's going to work against Costa, who just hits really hard, kicks very hard. And I think he's the more durable guy as well. I think Costa potentially finishes Garcia in the very first round here and puts up a big score at 8,900. So I like Costa quite a bit at that price tag. Monk, who are you liking for GBP this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with somebody we haven't talked about yet, maybe for good reason, because, hot start and then completely unpredictable Glass Joe type chin, no cardio. Punahele Soriano, but he's taking on Dustin Stoltzfus, getting another shot in the UFC. This guy's terrible, Stoltzfus. He's 1-4 in his last 5. His only win is against Dwight Grant. He lost to Abus Magomedov, I should be specific there. Mearshart, Rodolfo Vieta, and Kyle Daukaus. So not very impressive. You can say less than impressive there. Punahele Soriano has 3 out of his last 5. He did drop L's to Nick Maximov, very much less than impressive there. But he beat Dusko and Dalcha, and I think Dustin is in that realm as far as competition goes, possibly a little lower. So I think this is Soriano. He needs to make this his time to shine. He is very capable of doing that with his power. If he's worked on his cardio at all, that would be great. And Stoltzfus is the perfect guy to do that too. Yeah, he's only been KO'd once in his career, but he seems, Magomedov did it within less than 30 seconds. Puna's definitely a guy that can shut your lights out and shut him out early. So if he sees an opening, he's going to charge Brock Lesnar style. And if he hits that chin, Stoltzfus is going out. So give me Soriano at what's his salary? 94. Yeah, 9,400. I like him a lot for GBPs this week.
Yep, no shame in that. I mean, I think if this guy wins, it's probably a first-round knockout. He has 7 of them. Weezy, who are you liking for GPP this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Gordo here, Zach Reese. Let's face it, Zach's best win condition is a first round starching. This guy's got 6 pro fights, and his total pro cage time is less than 10 minutes. 10 minutes is his entire pro career. So if Zach wins this fight, and he's around 70% implied on the money line to do exactly that, then he probably scores in the triple digits. Cody is not known for being durable. So if Zach shows out in front of that friendly home crowd in Austin, Texas, and he's a high upside option for GPPs, and he does exactly what you need a GPP option to do, and that's finish the fight and do it early. And this guy, 6 fights, 10 minutes, all wins, going up against a guy who loves to find that door. So, yep, there it is. Zach Reese, 9,300.
Love it. I can't wait for that fight. That fight is going to be very exciting for the 2 minutes it lasts, and that's for sure. All right, we'll move on to our favorite cash play. What is up, DB? Good to see you in here. Favorite cash play, we'll start with Monk. Who are you liking for cash this week?
I'd be surprised if anybody else picked this guy, but I just have a feeling about it, and it's Joaquim Silva going against Clay Guida. I just think he's going to get it done. Clay Guida still going. I've got nothing but love for Clay Guida. I can't find the number. How old is that guy now? He's got to be. I was going to say 41. Well, shit, I was going to call him old, but, then again, pot and kettle type situation there. So, yeah, give me Joaquim Silva. So I'm doing something that I'm going to extrapolate on later on in the year / early in the year with my stats. But according to DraftKings stats, I've basically, long story short, separated them out into 12 categories. Guida, I'm classifying according to what he has scored as far as DraftKings as a high-paced grappler, low at distance kind of fighter, while he's fighting Silva, who's classified himself as a subpar grappler with a striking focus. I tell you that because Clay Guida has fought 6 of those guys in his career, subpar grapplers with a striking focus, and his record against those guys is 1-5. So I'm taking Silva because of that, because of a few other things, and Clay Guida's age. Don't get me wrong. This is like seeing, being able to see George Clinton. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's so old, I shouldn't be able to see him live, but I'm going to be able to get the chance. So I'm hoping to see the hair bouncing around, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm going Silva to get the job done here. So give me him as far as cash goes. And he's 9,100 ? Somewhere, something like that. So I think he's gonna go a bit overlooked, in my opinion, with the rest of the 9K guys like Reese that we mentioned, like Puna that's out there, and a few other guys. So I like Silva for kind of a sleepy cash play this week.
Now, who's George Clinton?
Oh my dude!
Oh, come on, man, dude!
You better just move
so
the fuck
glad
on.
you asked that.
My fallen dog, Bootsy Collins. Bootsy Collins was the bass player for Parliament Funkadelic. And George Clinton was the front man for Parliament Funkadelic. This is a funk band from the 70s and 80s that really kind of changed funk music and put it on the map. So it's something that happened long before you were born. But
What's
George
his best song? What's his best song?
Collins.
Tear the roof off.
Probably Flashlight, right, Monk?
Flashlight. Tear the roof off. The sucker. Tear the roof off. I mean,
Parliament. Yeah, you've heard a lot of rap music with Funkadelic being the beat.
Atomic Dog. If you've ever heard a rap song where they go, dog, that's George Clinton. Which is like 48% of rap song. Yeah, all that shit.
Okay.
Yeah, you've heard it before. You just don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sampled so much.
Exactly.
Heck yeah. All right. I'll check it out after the show for sure. So Monk can take in Joaquim Silva. Gordo, who you liking for cash this week?
Yeah, quickly on that Silva type of thing. We always talk about how UFC experience is really important. Well, 38 fights for Guida. Come on, man. You can't get any more experience.
Yeah, that's about as experienced as it gets.
My cash play this week is a pretty obvious one. Main event, Arman Tsarukyan, 9.2K. He is someone who I think has a pretty good floor in this matchup here. In his last 5 bouts, has scored 125, 110, 116, 98, and 124. Although he is facing a phenomenal competitor in front of me here in Dariush, she is still someone who has a ton of volume, a ton of grappling upside, and some very good cardio base to back here. And although we've seen some good performances out of someone like Dariush in the past, this is a young, dynamic threat in front of him here that I do think has a very good ability to fight through adversity, a good ability to bring a good pace and score well in the process. And I think when it comes to DraftKings, even in a loss, I do think Arman Tsarukyan scores very, very well. I love his floor. I love his ceiling. I think he's a relatively safe but popular option that I'm willing to play in cash.
Sorry, I was listening to some George Clinton, Atomic Dog. Yeah, I heard that before.
Yeah. You've heard it before.
Yeah, heck yeah. So
Bootsy Collins was Weezy. He talks like this, babe. You've heard the voice a million times.
Like this, baby. Yeah,
million times. Yeah,
Bootsy's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Shout
He
out.
wore glasses with stars on them.
Yep.
Yeah,
Star Child.
Good time. Back in the day. Good times.
That's right.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I mean, I went with the same thing. Gordo, Tsarukyan. I mean, the biggest thing here for me, Weezy said it perfectly. I mean, in terms of skill for skill, I think these guys are super close. The thing is, I think the big favor or what favors Tsarukyan the most in this fight is just durability. One guy's pretty durable. Tsarukyan only been finished once in 23 fights, where you got Dariush in 23 fights. He's been finished 5 times. And every time that Dariush has lost, he's been finished. We've seen him rocked, wobbled many, many times in the UFC. And across 25 minutes, I don't know if I trust that durability. So I think Tsarukyan eventually at some point in this fight lands a big shot and changes the fight and ends the fight late. So I like Tsarukyan here in terms of a cash play as well. Weezy, who are you liking for cash this week?
I'll go with Milk Costa because I really think Milk wins this fight, and I got a nice sized bet on the under 1.5 rounds. So I think whoever wins this fight is going to score big. But Garcia's flat out chinny, and Milk Costa hits really hard. So I see someone getting served early, and if it's Garcia who wakes up looking at the lights, Milk Costa at 8,900 is a fantastic option for cash. And just a beautiful stat is that Steve Garcia hasn't been at distance striking range long in the UFC. Garcia's fights have been at distance striking range for 5.21 minutes. There have been 9 knockdowns. Garcia's landed 4 and he's absorbed 5, you guys. So this guy, in 5 minutes, there have been 9 knockdowns in Steve Garcia fights at the UFC level. So you got to believe that somebody's going to get served here. And with Garcia being so chinny, it's probably him. Costa a big favorite. I think it sets up for a nice high score.
I like it. And this is one hell of a compliment here. Zero saying best DFS show on YouTube. Appreciate you, Zero. Although I think we're like the only DFS show on YouTube, right?
And we're still the best.
We acknowledge nobody. We never acknowledge our competitors ever.
I mean, you can't think of another one, but
we barely acknowledge Monk if he has the camera on or not. So
yeah, I still don't know if you guys can see me. I still don't know for a fact.
You'll see, dude. You'll see. We wouldn't do that to you.
You'll see. You'll watch it back, and you'll definitely see, Monk. All right.
I swear to God, you're the Nathan Fielder of you're devious, Brady. People just don't know it.
I guess
in the best possible way. I mean that as a compliment.
I appreciate it. I'm a big fan of Nathan Fielder. He's funny. I like him.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll move on now to our favorite value play. We'll start with Uncle Weezy. Who you liking for some value this week?
I'll give you guys Jamie Lynn Horth because something is going on here. Horth was minus 107 late Monday night, and now she's closing in. Well, she actually is minus 200 on the money line. So right there, that gives us around $500 in price savings on her salary. 8,500 is what you're paying for her now, but usually for a minus 200 favorite, you're paying close to 9K, right? And if there is some inside info leading people to move this line that much, and we're talking about a line that's about 14% in implied probability of movement, that's massive. That's huge. You don't see that kind of movement very often. So I'm thinking that there could be some kind of information out there potentially. Horth isn't that good. You know what I'm saying? It's not like any new information kind of came out. But here we are with looking at line movement that indicates that something's going on. So now we can get Jamie Lynn Horth at only 8,500. And, the probability of Horth winning this fight is pretty high, making her a pretty safe play at 8,500 because the average women's flyweight winner. So of all the flyweight fights that have ever taken place in the history of the division, the winner of a women's flyweight fight scores 92.14 points per win. So If we're looking at a high probability of a win, you know, you're looking at something around 90 points. You're only paying 8,500. I think it's pretty good value if we chalk up the win for Jamie Lynn Horth, of course.
Yeah, look at that line movement. I mean, Weezy, we were like, hey, you know, Jamie Lynn Horth minus 107. Yeah. And then like less than 48 hours, minus 107 to minus 200.
Is it Veronica Minner or what? Was James? Where's James Krause? Somebody locate that dude's ankle monitor.
Nah.
Wow.
Ankle monitor.
Yeah, it's a big line movement there.
Oh, that's crazy.
It is kind of crazy. Like I like Horth, but my gosh, I would never even think about laying minus 200 on her. So I don't know. For me, I'm gonna go with somebody who may look like value. Like if this guy wins at this price tag, he's going to look like value. I think a lot of people are very low on Sean Brady after his loss. I mean, prior to that loss against Bilal Muhammad, like this guy was like the next best thing. Everybody was on him. Everybody liked this guy. Now he's like one of the most hated guys on the card, and he has a path to victory here. That path to victory is going to be to wrestle, to get this fight down to the mat, to control Kelvin Gastelum. And, you know, Sean Brady, his wrestling's really good. His grappling's really good. His control's really good. Once you get guys down, they're typically not getting back up. So, yeah, I think Sean Brady has a path to go out there, get takedowns, control. I don't know if he subs Gastelum. Gastelum has been subbed once or twice, but, you know, I think he can go out there mixing takedowns, and I think those takedowns could add up. So, yeah, if he wins this fight at 8,200, I think in hindsight, he could look like a lot of value here when people are very, very low on him. Gordo, who you like for value this week?
Yeah, someone we've already mentioned a bit, so I'll keep this one shorter. Someone who is a very expensive salary, but going a bit overlooked with the big names this week is going to be Mount Costa. I do think that the pace that Garcia brings could make him look like value in hindsight. Just considering how this fight is expected to end inside the distance, this fight is expected to be fought at a high pace. He does have power. Garcia's chin is a bit of a concern here. So I do think Mount Costa does have a bunch of upside here, and he could be someone going very overlooked at 8.9K considering the big names around him.
And Monk, how about you? Who you like for some value?
Yo, why do people hate on Sean Brady? Is it just because he took that L to Bilal and people hate Bilal? So
I think that's what it is, dude.
That's insane. First, I that's crazy to me. But yeah, I'm on the Brady side as well. The dude's a beast. Yeah, I'm gonna go with someone that nobody's talked about yet. Maybe we just haven't had the chance, but former champion Deiveson Figueiredo at what 7,400. Yeah, he's fighting a killer.
Monk, I did talk about him.
You did talk about him. All right. Well, I must have.
Maybe you were blacked out.
My black screen, or maybe my audio's not working. Who knows? Who knows with StreamYard, right? Well, then, yeah, you talked about him. Well, I'll maybe echo what you said. I like him here. Yeah, Rob Font's a killer. He is only 2-3 in his last 5, losing to great competition in Sandhagen, Cheeto Vera, and Jose Aldo. But Deiveson Figueiredo is a former champ. Yes, it is in the flyweight division, and I don't like that he's fought the same guy 4 times in a row. I really don't like that. But we are going to see what he's got to offer here. And if he does win against Rob Font, yeah, I think if this was 5 rounds, he would probably score. I'd be stacking this fight, but it is only 3 rounds. But if he can get the win at that salary, even in a decision, I think he can score very well. He's at fight ready, good camp. I think he's got a chance here against Mr. Font. So who's actually older than Figgy is, which kind of surprised me. He's older by like 6 months, basically. So yeah, give me Deiveson Figueiredo. Very cheap price of 7,400. Yes, it is risky, but this is a value play. So yeah, that's what we're going with.
Yep. In terms of line value, I'd say, Figgy's up there. Jamie Lynn Horth's up there for some line value. There's a couple fighters that stick out for some line value this week. All right, we'll move on now to our dart throw section. We'll start with Gordo. Gordo, who you liking for a dart throw for this week?
There are a bunch of viable dart throws who can go out there and either score you 0 points or 110. I would not be surprised. The win condition for a lot of these guys score very, very well, including one of my least favorite fighters, cheapest fighter on the slate, Ior Peteria, 6.6K. His path to victory is going to be a first-round knockout, and he's facing someone in Bellotto who, although he is a good pressure fighter, although he has got good offensive weapons on the mat as well, leaves his chin up high, can be countered, and the one thing Peteria has is decent power. So although I think Bellotto is better everywhere and should be favored, the path to victory for Ior Peteria scores very, very well, and at 6.6K allows you to get almost anyone on the slate. Risky dart throw, but a ton of upside.
Yeah, I mean, if he wins, probably optimal, probably like a first-round knockout. Don't hate it as a dart throw. Weezy, who is your dart throw for this week?
I'm going with the fighting pride of Johnsburg, Illinois, Clay the Carpenter Guida, ladies and gentlemen. One last ride with Clay. Need I remind you guys that 3 fights ago, Joaquim Silva got slept by Ricky Glenn like 20 seconds into the fight. The fight before that, he got starched by Nasrat Hakparast, a guy with 7 UFC wins and only one of them's a finish. It was against Joaquim Silva. Joaquim has bad takedown defense. So if Clay can get takedowns and avoid the submission or land a big shot, that's not out of the realm of possibility. This guy Silva's very chinny. Guida could land a shot and knock him out. So I think that there are some upside avenues here for Clay Guida at a very low, a very cheap price. And dude, let's face it, he's not going to be owned. You know, a lot of people are thinking that Joaquim Silva is going to go out there and easily clown on this dude because he's 41, but Clay's still tough. Clay's still got really good cardio. There's a lot of reasons to like him here, and he could be a decent dart throw this week.
Man, if Clay knocked this guy out, that'd be just wild there.
Yeah.
But Ricky Glenn did it, so if Ricky Glenn could do it, anybody can. I'm going to go with, I think it's the ultimate dart throw. It's Cody Brundage. I mean, Cody Brundage is, a killer be killed fighter. Reminds me a lot of Jordan Wright. Just a great hammer, the worst nail ever. Any adversity whatsoever, any resistance, he's going to fold. But, I mean, Zach Reese, he's not proven at all. Zach Reese has fought nobody. If Zach Reese wins this fight, it's going to be his best win by a mile. Zach Reese has never been 5 minutes into a professional fight. So there's a ton of unknowns against or on Reese here. I think a lot of people are trying to fade Cody Brundage. Brundage is another one of those fighters that people just really hate. Brundage ruined a lot of parlays in his last fight with that DQ win. And yeah, at the end of the day, Brundage is a guy that I've gotten wrong a lot. I think I've got this guy's fight wrong pretty much every single time. Like even Malkoun, I picked Malkoun to win. He ended up pulling off the upset there with a DQ. But and I'm picking Reese here to win as well. But Cody Brundage, he has a ton of power. He knocked out Tresean Gore. I was not expecting that. He knocked down, almost finished Rodolfo Vieira. I was not expecting that. He weathered the early storm against Dolce Langabula, subbed and was not expecting that. So this guy surprises people sometimes, and I think people are really, really low on this guy at this point, and he's fighting for his job as well. So Cody Brundage, dart throw, could look really, really good or could look really, really bad. No in between, but that's why it's a dart throw. Monk, who's your dart throw for this week?
Yeah, generally, no, screw. Yeah, it's Beneil Dariush at 7K. Like, I mean, we're in dart throw territory as far as price goes. It's just weird to say his name and then dart throw because I think this line might be a bit too. Obviously, it could look at the end if Arman comes out here and just if Benny's totally washed and Arman comes out here dominates him, then the line's gonna look good. But man, speaking of, we've been talking. This could be renamed the Joaquim Silva show. Because we all remember what happened. Everybody likes to talk about, like Diego Lopez against Mavzar. And Mavzar, according to the stats, it wasn't very close. Diego did have his moments and was very, you have to watch the fight and not just read the stats. The same thing in that Silva Tsarukyan fight, man. Silva took that on very, very short notice. If I remember right, and had Tsarukyan, like, if you look at the stats, Tsarukyan dominated him. But if you remember the fight, Joaquim Silva definitely had more than one moment and in fact staggered Tsarukyan. I don't remember the round, maybe the second round. It was surprising to say the least because everyone thought Tsarukyan was going to come out here and just roll this dude in the very first round. So there's definitely holes here. And now he's fighting a UFC veteran who at one point had one of the longest streaks in one of the toughest divisions in the entire promotion in Beneil Dariush. And I just think this line is way too wide. Yeah, he didn't look great against Charles Oliveira, but man, if he's not washed, this line is wide and he is an absolute dart throw. So I think Benny's got a chance here.
Yeah, it's actually kind of wild, man. Me and Weezy were on Stat Diggers on Sunday, and the line was like minus 200. We're like, that's pretty wide. Now it's minus 335. Like it just keeps getting wider and 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 wider. So I don't know what's going on with this line. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. All right. What we'll do now is we will go. I didn't forget anybody, did I?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to go over the scores from 2 weeks ago. We have only 3 weeks left in the year. We have this card. We have a trash trash card next week. Just trash. 10-fight card. It's just terrible. And then we end the year with an incredible UFC 296 card in a couple weeks there. So 2 weeks ago, UFC Vegas 82 in fourth place was Monk. He had Mick Parkin 83. He had Michael Morales 63. Jose Johnson 108. Christian Leroy Duncan 119. Punahele 19 and Paul Craig 4. Monk scored 399. Third place was myself, Peyton Talbot 68. Hooper 94. Christian Leroy Duncan 119. Estevam 72, Brito 86, and then Panera 29, scoring 471. And second place was Gordo, Talbot 68, Hebos 92, Leroy Duncan 119, my titty back Oral Boy 123, Brito 86, and then Craig 4. So Gordo scored 495. And then in first place, Uncle Weezy, Hooper 94, Jose Johnson 108, Eileen Perez 88, Christian Leroy Duncan 119, Pierce 40, and then Jekka Seregi 106. Weezy scored 558.32. Looks like he might have been maybe a Brito away from maybe the optimal lineup or pretty close to it.
Yeah, if I take Pierce out and I put Oral Guy in for Pierce, it's optimal.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was that close. So yeah, it was a great lineup. God damn, I wanted Pierce to win that fight. I really wanted him to win that fight, and I thought he was on the way, but he got caught up in that choke. And and like fine wine, I've been in the cellar this whole year, but it's not how you start; it's how you finish, baby. So it was good to win one last week.
Heck yeah! Congrats, Uncle Weezy. My back Oral Boy gets me every time. Heck yeah, that guy's a stud, man. Alon Nascimento fights next week. He does. I forget against who, but he definitely does fight next week. Can't wait for that. All right. So we're gonna go over the current standings here. We have in fourth place is Monk. He has 15,664 DraftKings points. Weezy 15,932 DraftKings points. Me 16,579 DraftKings points. And then Gordo 16,638. I am 59 behind Gordo. Weezy 705 behind Gordo. Monk is 973 behind Gordo. Gordo, you are in first place. We are 40 cards in, and we got 3 fight cards left.
Yeah, not in first place by much, and there's a short way to go. Let's see if we can lock it up. I'm looking forward to these last 3 events, despite the atrocity we have next week. So let's see how it goes, and glad my titty back Oral Boy could keep me in first place.
So Nascimento fights Sumadarji next week. That fight's going to be fun. We haven't seen Sumadarji since he got broken by Matt Schnell.
Fight of the year candidate,
which is
that
embarrassing.
Was a long time ago.
I know I don't think we've seen Schnell fight since then, or Medardi. That guy never fights.
We've seen Schnell pull out of several fights. I mean, it's not fair to say that we haven't seen him. We've definitely seen him pull out of a ton of fights.
Oh, he's the king of pulling out of fights. But
he just pulled out of another one. Swear to God, I know. It just that like 2 weeks ago, like somebody else, you're gonna be like, oh, he's taking Matt Schnell's place,
Yeah. Yep. It happens all the time. Shout out to Matt Schnell. All right, lineups for this week. I hate my lineup, to be honest, so I'm probably going to change it. But Weezy, do you have your lineup for this week?
Yeah, here's what I got so far, and this really, I mean, like I am not making any judgments on that Turner Green fight until I see Turner on the scales. I think that's a massive piece of information. But here's the lineup so far: Zach Reese, Jalin Turner, Melk Costa, Jamie Lynn Horth, Deiveson Figueiredo, and Beneil Dariush.
All right. Monk, what do you got for this week?
I'm going to go with Puna Soriano, Melky Costa, Rob Font, Sean Brady. I'm going to go Beneil Dariush, and the only person that really leaves me is Veronica Hardy, and I'm not happy about it. So I'll take her for now for time's sake, but that'll probably be changing.
All right, I'm going to go with Arman Tsarukyan up top, Mel Costa up top, Joaquim Silva up top, Sean Brady, Figgy, and then Jared Gooden. Gordo, what do you got for this week?
Yeah, we're going to be head-to-head. This is really going to make or break the season for us, I think, on these ones here. I got Tsarukyan like you up top, Zach Reese as well. But then I have Clay Guida down low, Kelvin Gastelum in the middle, Deiveson Figueiredo, and Mel Costa.
Yeah, there we go. That should decide it there. I like it. All right. So we'll do quick picks real quick, and then we'll hit up any questions. I see I have 4 starred here, so we'll get to the questions after our quick picks. We'll start with Uncle Weezy. What are your quick picks for UFC Austin?
Tsarukyan, KO, round 4. Turner, KO, round 2. Figueiredo, submission, round 2. Gastelum, decision. Joaquim Silva, submission, round 2. Soriano, KO, round 1. Avila, decision. If you know somebody who needs help with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Reese, KO, round 1. Selecki, decision. Costa, KO, round 1. Bellato, KO, round 2 over that fraud Ihorp Terrier. Wellington Turman by decision, and Jamie Lynn Horth, KO, round 2.
All right, Gordo, what do you got for quick picks for this week?
I refuse to give the round and the method just because
What?
there's some picks.
Do that.
I can't. I can't. I
What do
can't.
you mean?
I'm not giving a rounder method for a 50-50 fight in Tate and Avila.
I refuse.
I refuse.
Wow. Okay.
All right. I'm going to turn my screen off like Monk. All right. We have Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan. Okay. We'll do it for you guys. Let's go Arman Tsarukyan decision. Jalin Turner, round 2 sub. Deiveson Figueiredo decision. Kelvin Gastelum decision. Clay Guida decision. Punahele Soriano KO round 2. Miesha Tate decision. Reese KO 1. Drakkar Klose decision. Melt Costa KO 2. Rodolfo Bellato sub 1. Wellington Turman decision, and Jamie Lynn Horth decision.
All right, I'm going Tsarukyan KO 3, Turner KO 1, Figgy decision, Brady decision, Silva sub 2, Soriano KO 1, Tate decision, Reese sub 1, close decision, Costa sub 1, Bellato sub 2, Gooden decision, and Horth decision. Monk, quick picks for UFC Austin.
Yeah, we'll go Horth decision. We'll go Gooden decision. Bellato, we'll say round 1 KO. We'll go Melt Costa round 1 KO. Joe Selecki decision. We'll go Cody Brundage round 1. Fucking guillotine. Why not? For the memes. Miesha Tate decision. Puna round 1. First minute finish over Stoltzfus if he knows what he's doing. Give me Joaquim Silva round 3 submission. Give me Sean Brady decision, Rob Font decision, Jalin Turner round 1 KO TKO, and I'm gonna go. I guess I'm gonna pick with my head and not my heart. Arman Tsarukyan, round 5 submission.
All right, juicy. All right, quick questions here. We'll go with Spencer. First question in the chat. He says, how do we feel about Arman 2.5 takedowns? I'm personally not touching it. I think Dariush has incredible takedown defense, but over the course of 25 minutes, I could potentially see 3 takedowns, but I'm not touching it personally. Anybody else have any thoughts about this?
I think it happens in the 3rd or 4th later in the fight. If that happens,
Yeah, Dariush has defended 38 of 47 takedowns, so 81% takedown defense, only allowing 0.66 takedowns per 15 minutes. But Tsarukyan's attempting 9.43 takedowns per 15 minutes, getting 3.43 of them. So it's hard to say, man. It's one of those ones I don't have a feeling either way.
Yeah. Gamrot got 4, but he attempted 19 takedowns in three rounds. So yeah, it's not one I'm touching personally, Spencer. Tommy is saying, speaking of George Clinton, how about the movie PCU?
Oh yeah, classic. You want to see
that movie was kind of what do you call it? It kind of told the future. It kind of told how everybody in college was becoming a bunch of. I want to use a P word here, but I'm not going to. Just a lot of people. It's called politically correct university, so it was just about like whiny politically correct people and how to kind of negotiate through that in college. So just kind of an interesting. It was an old movie too.
John Favreau
plays Clinton was in
a
it.
stoner with dreads.
Oh, wow.
They did go to a Funkadelic concert.
Yep.
Nice.
Daniel
saying, is it starting soon? Yes. It's starting soon. And then this isn't a question, but do want to wish you happy birthday, Kid Kick. Says he's going to he lives in Dallas. He's heading to Austin this weekend on his late birthday present.
Yeah,
So yeah,
boy.
great birthday present there. Should be a fun card and enjoy it. And happy late birthday there. All right, gonna kick it around. Weezy, plans for tonight for Ask Weezy.
Ask Weezy, 11 o'clock Central Time, 50 minutes from now. I've got my significant strikes template ready. I've got my prop template ready. I've got all my stats. I've got the database. Ask me any questions you have about any props, money lines, prize picks, underdog. I've got all the answers, at least all the data-driven answers. Life answers, Jesus, don't ask me for life advice. But if you want advice on who's going to land how many significant strikes, I'm telling you guys, I'm your guy. So show up. Uncle Weezy's YouTube channel, Ask Weezy, 50 minutes from now. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Austin and bathe in the blood of our vanquished Draftkings enemies. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Gordo, what do you got going on for the rest of the week for some content?
I love to hear that from Weezy. I got a couple papers to write tonight, so I will be in the. I won't be in the chat, but I'll be listening to Weezy. Join me there. I'm looking forward to hearing from him, and it'll keep me going through the night here. But for me, my content is already out in the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. Full card breakdown, DraftKings, and betting perspective. My full betting card will be out Friday. But aside from that, my premium work is also on Daily Fan MMA. They're sending the cops out here. I don't know if they heard about someone betting on Tate Avila or something, but something's going on. But no, other than that, guys, Plays and Fade Sports on YouTube, at Gambles Gordo on Twitter, and I wish everyone the best of luck this weekend.
Okay. The cops are there? Are you all right?
I'm hearing those alarms. You guys not hear those?
Gordo getting swatted by somebody that followed his advice on something.
Please.
You never know. You never know.
He gives
Monk.
9 correct picks out of 10, and you hate him for the 1. Come on.
Yeah, that's how it goes. You got to get everything right, or you suck. So Monk, what do you got for this week?
Well, I'll be getting into it on a video I'll put out on my channel, but I'm taking a break from personal content on my channel. I'm doing tons right now, just tons and tons of data collection. Basically, I'm going, round by round. It's getting. I'm way into the weeds, but I've started something I can't finish, so I'm going to be focusing on that for the end of the year. Still doing Happy Hour with Lou Betya, of course, on the MMA Engine every single week. Still doing this show, obviously, as well every single week. So stick around for that. And yeah, I'll hoping to bring some new stuff to you guys at the beginning of 2023. Gonna focus a lot more on the gambling perspective as well. So getting into that side of things. So yeah, that's what I got going on. And yeah, check out everybody else's stuff before the end of the year. Make that Christmas money, baby.
Let's do it. Thank you all so much for watching. I posted a full card breakdown that is out. I did a prize picks video that is out. DraftKings video will be out tomorrow, and then going to be going live Friday for the final thoughts, and then live Saturday for some best bet. That's all I got this week. Best of luck for UFC Austin. This card is pretty solid. Enjoy it, because next week's card is just abysmal. I mean, just a disgrace put on by the UFC, but and then we end it with UFC 296, which all makes up for it. So yeah, guys, best of luck. Like on your way out, subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. See you later.